Hello everyone, David here, MixBest TV. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today I'm answering your questions. We start with L'Oreal Sepala 4646, one of our gold members. So thank to all the members for supporting the channel. Hi David, what was the biggest wow moment or breakthrough in your career as a producer mixer when you figure out something that was missing in the sound you were after, or some knowledge or realization that made you fully confident about taking on any project regardless the scope or genre? All right, at least for me, I can't think of a breakthrough moment. For me, it never happened that at some point, maybe after I finished a given mix or a day, I thought, oh, wow, this was amazing. This session taught me finally how to mix, or this mix is finally it. I'm a real mix engineer, I can do that. I never had a moment like that. It's been a long, hard road. And I think this is true for most engineers. I think every single time you start a mix, whether it's a new client or a returning client, it feels like you have to prove yourself. And what you did before kind of doesn't matter. I mean, not even kind of. It doesn't matter, because even though some clients pick you and hire you to mix their songs because they heard your portfolio, they heard maybe songs that they liked how they were mixed, that you mixed. At the end of the day, when you start working on their song today, they don't care how good you were before. They care about their song. So it really doesn't matter how big your name is or your reputation. The client doesn't really care, rightfully so. All they care is how my song sounds. So yeah, there was never a breakthrough moment, although of course there were a handful of mixes that I really liked, and I still like them, right? Because I think it happens to everybody. When you listen to your body of work, there's always something that you would change, right? Especially old mixes, because hopefully you improve every day, every mix, every week. And so you listen back to the things that you did, and maybe people think that they are amazing, but you would want to be able to go back in time and say like, if I could do that, right? So, and I think this is a good mindset to have, because it keeps you fresh, it keeps you motivated, and it keeps you always wanting to strive for greatness, as opposed to do the bare minimum, put the fader up, you know, and call it a day. I also never had a moment in which I felt like something was missing in my sound. I think that happened every single time that I mix, and I had to find a way to feel whatever is missing. And of course, especially at the beginning of my career, every single time I heard a mix by Andy Wallace, I'm like, oh, well, I'm missing everything. But that's also a healthy mindset, I think, because that is the reason as to why I became so OCD, besides having a passion and a call to do this and to be in music. This is how I am. I have to understand things. You know, I have to understand why my mix doesn't sound the way I want it, or doesn't sound like, you know, the one mix that I really like. And I am not getting up this chair until I'm done. And I found out. Whether or not I succeed according to the public, at least I have to be satisfied, and I have, even if I don't win, I have to know why I didn't win, whether it was the source material that wasn't, you know, on par with my references, or because there wasn't enough time, or there wasn't enough budget, or it was just my skills weren't good enough. And so I have to study for the next 2 months a specific subject to overcome that plateau, let's call it this way. As for the realization that made me fully confident about taking on any project, regardless the scope or genre, I think, again, there wasn't a moment, but I remember a specific period of my career where I was doing a lot of work for Virgin Radio. And I was in Europe, and Virgin Radio back then was linked to the label and was linked to several projects. So they were actually producing bands, producing albums, producing a lot of music. And I was the go-to engineer, so I had a ridiculous amount of work. And I had very, very short deadlines. And they were very demanding, so my margin of error was this much. And so that taught me a lot, taught me not to second guess myself too much. It gave me definitely a confidence boost because I was delivering. That's why they kept working with me. And that was brutal. That was a brutal amount of songs per week and per month. And I realized very soon, because I had so much work and so little time to deliver that work, that besides the satisfaction, the personal satisfaction of not having revisions, not having the clients asking you for revisions, and wow the clients with your first, attempt, I realized that it was a lot less work to work a little more on the first version and not get revision than to ballpark the first version and then to get to the result revision after revision after revision. Because I think sometimes some engineers, maybe because they don't have the confidence yet, they expect the revisions. And so they kind of ballpark the mix. They don't go so much into detail because they know that the clients are gonna ask them revisions. And for me, that period was a sequence of V1, V1, V1 accepted as final mix, and it gave me definitely a boost in confidence. It was an absolutely brutal benchmark, but also it taught me so much about myself, about my skills, about what I was able and capable of doing. And then the other thing, I think, are things that are not public, and I'm not the kind of guy that is gonna advertise things like this, especially not with names, but there have been in my career times in which I did mix tests for artists, and they were giving a mix, which happens often. They were giving a song to me and at the same time to other 2, 3, 4 engineers, right? And it happened for both mix and mastering. And whether it was a single or whether the winner of the single was going to mix the album, I won these, so to speak, challenges. And of course, it's funny because a couple of times I knew that the same song was given to others and that was an actual test, but a couple of times I didn't. And I got to know that they gave the song to me and to other engineers halfway through the album because I won, but I didn't know. I had no idea. And a couple of times those engineers are huge names, like Grammy-winning awards names that consistently work with top 10 artists. And I remember saying to the producer, I'm very glad that you didn't tell me that I was against this guy, because if I did know, probably I would have second guessed every move and thought about how he could have mixed it and tried to just, do some weird to try to win. And so it was a blessing that I didn't know. But yeah, I think those are also moments that gave me a boost in confidence. And at the end of the day, I was against a few of the best of the best in the world. Engineers that I myself admire, and actually one of those albums that I won, so to speak, ended up being a double platinum. So.
Hands on my neck, hands grip my throat. Lift me up, man, take control.